Hi, my name's Sue Rhomberg, and I go by Sue Doe often because Sue Doe was my air name when I used to DJ at KCMU. I did that for a couple years in the late 80s before KCMU became KEXP, which it is now. That's when Paul Allen got involved and moved it down to Seattle Center and changed the call letters. But basically KCMU and KEXP have about the same format. And so I have a strong music background because I also used to promote shows and book bands locally in the late 80s. I encourage visitors always when they come to town to go out and hear live music because Seattle has so many great venues for all different kinds of live music. So I ask them what kind of music they like, what are their interests, and so on. Same with the locals. I might ask them about what music they like. How do they find their music? Do they use Spotify or SoundCloud or some other app? Or do they just listen to the radio like I do? Because I'm really low tech that way. And I like DJs who are really good at curating music, and that's what I use instead of an app like Pandora. Okay, so my best Lyft ride ever, I've had a lot of good ones, but my best one I'd say was three women on a shared ride to the airport, which I don't normally recommend a shared ride to the airport unless you've got a lot of extra time built in, but it worked out great this day. They were all going the same place and we had enough time to get there. And one was a local writer, and she was telling us about some research she'd just done on privacy issues and neighborhood apps like the Ring and those people who have cameras on their doorstep and watching what's going on in the neighborhood and surveillance kind of deal. So we talked a lot about that, and racism and some different issues started to come up. We had a few different people of different races in the car. And also I have an African American son that I was talking about that I adopted. And so it became a really kind of intense but very interesting experience. And we all shared a lot of stories. And then they got to their flights on time and I dropped them off, and you probably will never see them again, but you don't know. Actually, I emailed the writer because we had a connection, and and so we had some issues that we were in common about. So maybe I will give her a ride again someday. That would be really cool. And so I have a lot of good passengers that I like to talk to because that's my main thing. The reason I want to be on the Driver Advisory Council is because it's an extension of what I like to do on every ride, which is talk to people, create a sense of community, build community, kind of just find out what we have in common, because there's always something you have in common with somebody to talk about, unless they're really busy and don't want to talk, and then they usually tell you that right up front, and that's cool. Then I'm quiet. Some of the responsibilities of the Driver Advisory Council would be to plan and execute events. Well, okay, I have like 10 years of event planning and coordination experience from my professional life before I became semi-retired. Although right now, besides driving for Lyft, I do have another business. I could do meetings every week or every other week. I could attend events or virtual workshops. That would be no problem. I'm a natural born leader. I've always been a leader in groups all growing up through school and adult life. I like to create a welcome and safe space for people when they're in my car. So again, the Driver Advisory Council is like an extension of that. And sharing best practices. Oh my God.